Welcome back. In this video, we are going to explore one of the most important concepts in Flutter, the difference between stateless and stateful widgets and how state works in an app. By the end, you will have a clear understanding of when to use each widget and how to manage the state of your app. Let's first look at what a widget is. In Flutter, everything you see on the screen is a widget. Widgets are the building blocks of your app's user interface, but not all widgets are the same. Some widgets are fixed and don't change, while others can update based on user interaction. That's why stateless and stateful widgets comes in. Before we dive into widgets, let's define what state means in the context of an app. The state is simply any data or condition that can change over time. For example, the number of items in a shopping cart, the content of a text field, or whether a button is enabled or not. All of these are part of the app state. In Flutter, managing state is crucial because it controls how the app behaves and looks at any given moment. Let's now look at a stateless widget. A stateless widget is a widget that doesn't depend on any state changes. Once it's built, it stays the same no matter what happens. It's great for displaying static content that doesn't need to be updated. Let's look at an example. In this example, we have a simple text, which is a widget. This widget displays a message. This message won't change no matter how many times the widget is rebuilt or how the user interacts with the app. It's static, which is why we use a stateless widget. Now let's talk about stateful widgets. These are widgets that can change over time because they have a state that updates. When the state changes, the widget rebuilds itself to reflect the new state. Let's look at an example. In this example, we use a stateful widget because the app state is changing each time the button is pressed. The counter variable here updates, and the widget rebuilds to display the new count. This is possible thanks to the setState method, which tells Flutter to rebuild the widget with the new data. We can also create a custom widget just by extending either a stateless or a stateful widget using inheritance. So we can create a normal class, then you bring the inheritance that we did in the Dart basics, extending a stateless or stateful widget. Then you can now create your custom widget. Let's dive deeper into what we mean by state. The state of an app is any information or data that defines how your app looks or behaves at a particular moment. There are two types of states in Flutter. You have the local state. This is state that only affects a single widget and doesn't need to be shared across different parts of the app. For example, whether a checkbox is checked or not. And you have a global state. This is a state that affects multiple parts of the app and is shared across widgets. For example, user login status or theme settings. When we use a stateful widget, we are managing ephemeral states. The widget keeps track of its own state and can change over time based on user interaction or other factors. So the ephemeral state is the local state and the app state is the global state. To sum up, stateless widgets, they are fixed and they have unchanging content. We use when the UI does not depend on any state. Stateful widget, on the other hand, has dynamic content that changes over time. We use when we need to update the UI in response to user input or data changes. Now that you understand the difference between stateless and stateful widgets and what app state means, you are ready to start building more interactive apps. Thank you for watching this video and do well to subscribe. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up and let me know your thoughts in the comment section. See you in the next video.